My name is Joel Ortiz. I schedule and book the shows for Happy Dog Performance Company, which reside in the heart of Wicker Park. And we host visual art, dance, recitals, music, you name it. Events such as deadline projects, actually, group shows, multimedia. We kind of have doors open for everyone. We're very big on networking and building an actual artist community dictated by the artists, as opposed to an artist community dictated by gallery owners, which I think can be a very rigid experience for many young artists. So if we can sort of cut out all the bad, negative aspects of dealing with a very sort of hoity-toity, like elitist gallery, and show them that, you know, there's an audience for what they do and what they love. That doesn't necessarily have to be like suits and wine and sort of that horrible kind of gallery pretension that's been around for a very long time. It's just the artists and their audience with no borders in between. So we love to be a part of it.
My name is Holly Sabin. It's a piece of structure. These are my pieces here. They work together as a group, but they're sold individually. I made them all at the same time, so I really did think of them as one piece together. A lot of them incorporate materials of building. This is actually plaster, wood frame used in paintings, stretcher bars, and then also I've incorporated some metal pieces over here. So incorporating building materials of kind of a more masculine sense of, like, you know, this wall is made out of plaster, but then also sewing in these reconstituted painting pieces, which is more of a feminine way of building an object. These pieces that are collaged in and sewn on are all from one painting that was unstretched and cut up. Then also this is just some canvas. Then they're all on these wood stretchers. Then there's plaster, there's some metal components, and material, and that's it. So this is actually where the plaster's been pushed through the fabric, and it hit plexiglass, and that's what gives it that smooth surface, which is repeated again in the corner of that piece. Question. I think each person should kind of come to a piece and decide what it's about for them. I may have had specific intentions of what it's about for me, but when it comes down to it, art is about connecting. And if you connect with a piece and you make certain relationships within your life to that piece and just love it, then that's great. It is that for you. So it's a personal experience for each individual. So what it's about to me doesn't really matter.
I have to look at it a little longer because it's so dull, the color. Like, there's no color, so there's nothing to really grab me. But because of that, I'm interested and I walk in and I want to see it. I'm still thinking about it.
Like a relationship sometimes. It's like you like break through it, and sometimes it's beautiful and sometimes it's not so beautiful. And sometimes you try to mend it because you really want it to work, or you really feel like this could work, so you try to piece it together.
My name is Sean Stuckey, and I'm a screen printer. This piece is titled in Icelandic, and it's called Ágætis byrjun, which translates to an alright start. The piece itself is about me and one of my friends who lives in New York. And I flew out there a couple months ago to hang out with her and just spend the weekend with her, and we had such a great time hanging out that when I got back to Chicago, I was so like heartbroken, happy, just excited. It was such a good time, so I decided to make a print about my experience with her in New York City, you know, walking down the streets over by Central Park and just hanging out and just having a great time. So that's why I titled it An Alright Start, because it was like one of the first times we actually got to hang out and spend some time together, because before it was always like, hey, how's it going, just punch and go, come and go kind of thing. But that was the first time we actually hung out, so I called it An Alright Start, or Ágætis byrjun in Icelandic. I've been screen printing for almost 2 years now, and I've been exhibiting for a little over a year. Well, I start off digitally, so I take all my images from books, old magazines, and I also use photography. And it's a collage process, so I'll begin by scanning my images from books and old photo negatives and any other material I can scan in, and then I digitally manipulate it in Photoshop. I also make t-shirts. It's the same thing.
Garo. So, and I write songs on here, and then I play them live. See, I got one track here, right? Just one. And then I can change it if I want. Hear it, right? Then I'll bring in another part. Then I'll bring in another part. It's kind of tough to hear out of these speakers, but now there's nothing.
I'm Thomas, also known as Black Daylight. I'm working on FL Studio, version 7, my favorite program. I like this place, I like art galleries, I've always wanted to play one. I think this is actually the first art gallery I've ever played at. Come see us at the Subterranean the first Sunday of every month, we're there, yes. Also, we're at Darkroom the second Sunday of every month, I believe also. Be there.
Cool. Check out momentsound.com. Moment Sound, like you're in the moment, you're experiencing the sound. Momentsound.com, a lot of live music.
The title of my piece is This is for you, you who have walked with me, you who have followed your own path, gone on and followed your own path. You, all of you, to whom I have said goodbye. I don't know, 30, give or take 10, maybe 30 to 40 photographs all through here. Basically, it's two sunrises, one sunrise and another sunrise. It is one space. I need two sunrises to keep it together. And then these are all different people. This is kind of the heart of the photograph.
Oh, okay.
The shadows are, it's kind of like me walking kind of from dark but sparkly city out into the horizon, the sun, you know, all that, the future, everything like that. And the people that I've been with, that I've had in my life that aren't with me, to whom I've said goodbye, they, though they're not here, it's just me solo on this path. They're still there. Their shadow is with me there. This one is much simpler. It's just one shot with lighting, and it's called "This Is For You." You, the force that propels forward. I call it the force. Some people personify it and call it God. I don't personify it. I call it the force. And it's the force that propels forward. It's a token of gratitude, but it's also a token of hope. Sort of a Yeah. So I don't really have much to say about it other than that's what I got to say.
All right.
Renee Una. This is for you.
This is for you as the name of your piece. Okay.
Yes. This is a headless plaster Buddha.
Okay.
And these are 3 Buddha heads that are cast from people I know. It comes from this idea that anyone can be the Buddha. These are all people I know. But now they're watching a single channel video, which is 40 minutes of real time of Lake Michigan.
Oh, I quite like it. I don't quite get it.
The aesthetic of the headless Buddha, that actually it comes from vandalism, like colonists. Basically, I always imagine some Europeans in Asia admiring a giant Buddha and being like, it's lovely, but it's too heavy. Lop off his head and we'll take that. The idea of meditation is to sort of reconnect the mind and body. So this is sort of an illustration of what it means to be a sentient being, which is to have this challenge always.
James Beckman. This is from a series of portraits I did called Misconnections. There was about 50 of them. And this is misconnection number 14. It's mixed media on paper. There's some baby powder in there. That's really the only ingredient that I list, actually, is the baby powder. There's baby powder in there.
Okay.
Some of this stuff, you can kind of feel it a little. But on each of the portraits, I kind of used a specific additive, and that was really the only thing that mattered about it for me. Okay. So that's the only ingredient I list, yes. This is from a lifelong project, and this piece is called In the Shadow of Something Greater. And it's from a series of paintings I've been working on over the last 4 years or so that will continue to evolve. I'll continue to work on it once this show's over, and I might show it again, I might not.
Okay.
But it's an homage to my predecessors, I guess. Actually, foot powder is the additive in that one. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. It's particularly dealing with the last year of my life, which I've been dealing with chronic pain stemming from an injury last year. So that's what that one's about.
My name is Sarah Perez. Well, the theme of the show is This Is For You. So each piece is for someone or something in particular. This piece is actually based on an idea for a photo shoot I had back in college.
Okay.
And one of my ex-boyfriends actually bought me maybe about 10 suitcases once, just on a whim because he knew about my idea. But I never did the photo shoot. And I always kind of really felt guilty about not doing the photo shoot because it's actually a pretty nice thing that he did. So kind of recreating this is for you, sort of making up for this idea that I never, followed through on. They're numbered 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
But they can be taken separately. I just picked 3 shots that I like the best of the photo shoot. There's not really a consecutive storyline necessarily, aside from closed suitcases and open suitcases.
Right.
I developed the black and white photos in a spare bedroom, and then hand colored them with oil paints. The color scheme is a lot different than I normally work with. It's a little more surreal. The books are actually some old letters from that ex-boyfriend from college.
Okay.
Which I was a little concerned it might be taken as a mean thing to put letters that are personal out for public view, but the names have been concealed except for my name.
Okay.
And I don't think there's anything embarrassing in the letters. I think they're actually really interesting letters taken out of context. Sort of gives a storyline to this abstract idea for a photo shoot that most people wouldn't necessarily understand, but in the broader sense, it's an image that I've given to people to look at. I don't know, so it's just trying to bring the personal out a little bit more, maybe. So just trying something new, I don't know.
I was reading the stories. They're real letters on different kind of scraps of paper. and with all the typos and all the corrections, and it's, you know, very honest, very real, and it's interesting how it ties in with the photos, and it's just very different and it's fun.
My name's Michael Una, and this is my piece entitled "This Is For You." The "this" that is for you is a state of being, which is induced through a series of sensory inputs which I've designed. So the first you have is there's a visual piece that you look at. There's a sound piece that you listen to on headphones. The sound piece is also being piped through a subwoofer that is attached to the back of the chair. So you feel the vibrations very heavy in your chest. So it's a very tactile sense. And then also I have a hot tea that's very fragrant that you can smell as you're experiencing the piece. You can also drink it. And so all of this is designed to induce a particular state of being which I've engineered for the experiencer of the piece. And this state of being I would describe as a state of relaxed awareness. So there are these two elements here, that you are relaxed. There's an element of just being sort of like open and sitting with it, but also an awareness that everything becomes very sharp and in focus. And so those two things combine. So this sharpness, this focus on what's happening in this exact moment, but also freeness and a relaxation and openness to what is happening. And so all of these sensory inputs sort of combine to put you in that state. And the longer you experience this piece, the longer the effect will last over time. So if you sat here for 10 minutes and really got into it, theoretically for the rest of the night you could walk around in this sort of state of relaxed awareness, and so to experience the rest of your evening in that state. So it's one of my favorite states of being. So I wanted to sort of generate an experience that would then sort of encapsulate and then impart this to the viewer, the experiencer of this piece, sort of as my gift to you. This is for you. I want to give you sort of my favorite thing, which is seeing the world from this perspective.
It was an experience. Sure.
Just kind of, it wraps you into it. It's really neat. I'm Mike's mom. This is my proud boy. Hey. I'm proud of him.
All right.
My name is Gretel Garcia Cuba. The name of this piece is You Always Said I Could Be Anything. It's a piece that I chose to dedicate to a friend that just recently passed away, who was a very big inspiration in my life, and he always said I could do anything. It's made out of a used mattress, wood, and foam, and I've used mattresses before in my work, and I find it to be a really important symbol for me of vulnerability, because at the end of the day we all go to sleep, we go to sleep on a mattress, and we're vulnerable, we're susceptible to anything and everything. It's a place of real like where we're by ourselves with ourselves. And I made it into a thought bubble because I thought, like, to me it's symbolic of like just being blank. Like you can do anything, you can be anything you want to be, and you can interpret this to be anything that you'd like it to be, but essentially it's about vulnerability and it's about being able to choose your own path.
It's kind of strange. I think it's because it's a mattress, and you associate mattresses with, you know, beds because that's what a mattress is for. It's for your bed. You associate it with comfort, and it's in the shape of a cloud. And I think a lot of people, like, it kind of reminds me of when I was a child, and I think all children at some point just sort of like lay down in a park or a field of grass and sort of stare up at the clouds and watch like the clouds turn into shapes and that sort of thing. And so it's kind of like, that's also a kind of comfort zone. So her piece sort of marries those two images, like the mattress, like a comfortable place to sleep, and, you know, clouds, comfortable imagery together in a real interesting way. It's a pleasing shape.
My name is Blake Parrish Lewis. This is my piece. It's titled Side 2. The larger pieces, I assembled this in sections where this and its feet are one piece. There are a few pieces here stuck together. I started building my larger shapes with super glue so that I could paint them without having to go back and try and paint behind here after it was all assembled. Once I had paint on everything, it's painted with an epoxy-based automotive paint, like a primer, that you'd put down right before you put your base coat on a car. Since it's epoxy-based, once I had sections glued together, I used epoxy. And I'm crossing my fingers that it holds. This piece is all made out of ABS plastic, which is one of the more common manufacturing plastics, and I work in the field of product design and manufacturing and prototyping. These are all leftover CNC fixtures from prototyping new products or parts of new products or internal parts that you never ever see. But the CNC machine starts out with a flat table and will cut one side of a part out of a chunk of plastic. Then if you want to cut the second side, you need to create a cavity that the first side fits into to hold it flat on the table. Okay. Hence the title, Side 2. These are all fixtures from cutting the second side of something. The way I feel it correlates to something for you is that these are all fixtures we've created to complete the work we do for our clients. But this is the side of it that they never ever see. This is evidence of process that usually just gets thrown in the garbage. Well, when I started at this job, I saw how neat these were, and I asked the CNC department, please, instead of throwing these away, give them to me. So now whenever we're working on a job and they have an extra fixture, they come over and say, hey, do you want this? So these have been something for me. They're also, like I said, the something for our clients that they never see. And this is Side 2.
My name is Kira Termini. These are both etchings. This one's on a zinc plate, this is a copper plate. These places are drastically changing: Alaska, Northern Africa. I've been doing a series for a long time. Essentially, it has to do with climate change, and it's trying to show places that I feel are really important to be seen before they change completely. So this is Alaska, and this is the desert in Northern Africa. You put an asphaltum ground on top of a metal plate, and then you draw into it using a sharp tool, and then you put it in acid. Different plates go into a different acid, and you can't mix them. And then through that you get your line, and then you just keep working into it. Like, this is two separate plates, and maybe like...
By two separate plates, what do you mean by two separate plates?
The background, which is the actual imagery of the landscape here, is one plate, and then all of this line work here, and the bite, this is an acid bite. Okay. This is all aquatint, and the open bite here, the spit bite, is a different plate.
My name is Mark Salha. And this is my piece, study of a Arabic woman. The story goes is that kind of like, it's the Hottentot princess. The Hottentot princess was basically kind of like one of the first, like when England, you know, had like the colony, they went to like Africa, and they kind of like just basically collected like, you know, items, you know, like lions and stuff like that. And they had, for the first trips, they had this African woman like, as a presentation to the queen, showing what you know African women are, and they nicknamed her as the Hottentot princess. And as she grew old and died, they preserved her intestines and her parts, and even today she exists in the museum, in the London Museum. So this piece started out from that idea. She is a Bedouin woman. Bedouin is what could be discussed, argued as the origins of Arabic.
It's really perplexing, very confusing. Oh, I quite like it.
This is for the American public. This is kind of like showing, dealing with what kind of like what is Arabic, and understanding, trying to make sense out of it. You know, it's just kind of like. You look at kind of like, you know, you go to like Iraq and stuff like that, or Middle East. Now, how do you deal with that kind of people, you know? And a dissection of a Bedouin, which, you know, could be like the origins of being Arabic, is kind of like one of ways of kind of like scientifically kind of like, you know, looking at it. Like that's what I meant by kind of like, you know, archaeological or sociological. You know, like archaeological is kind of like, you know, making like assumptions of what people are and how people are. You know, sociological is like going there and being there and living with those people, and you discover like more things about who they are, what the Middle East is, what the Iraq people, you know, how they are. This is for the American public.
Well, what I like about the Arabic woman is that she looks very masculine. It's kind of almost ironic that she's opening up and that her face has such a masculine quality to it. Not to mention that it's pretty disturbing how far up the cut is. I wonder if the artist has anything political at all to say in that work. You know, all of the themes behind Arabic women being masked all the time. That the only time they ever see themselves killed open is dead. I mean, not to be morbid, but...
Oh, I quite like it, very confusing.